Hello everyone and welcome to Livewire's Outlook series for 2025. Sitting next to me here is Sam Ruiz from Rowe Price. Sam is going to be sharing with me some of his best investment ideas for 2025. Sam, 2024 has been a big year for markets, near all-time highs. How's it been for you?
It's been a great year when it comes to returns. Very heavily concentrated in the US. We've all heard about AI, Magnificent Seven. A little fun fact for you, it's only the fourth time since the 20s that the US market will have delivered more than a 20% return in 2 consecutive years. So investors should be happy. I just really highlight that it's been all about one concentrated part of the market, which is really interesting setup for next year, whether that changes or not.
Sam, for anyone who's not familiar with the way that you look at markets, what do you focus on in particular and what are you looking for?
Yeah, so we're a little bit different to some other global equity managers. So we are focused on global companies all around the world, but we have around $2.5 trillion of assets, around 200 investors feeding ideas into our portfolios. So we're not just focused on one tiny subset or one thematic. If anything, we actually are trying to go across all market caps, all regions, all countries, and trying to find returns a bit more broad than some other strategies. So looking everywhere, but I'd just say there is always an emphasis on durability and quality. But yeah, we're looking at value, growth and everything in between.
And Sam, what's unique or different about the way that you invest?
I think one of the biggest advantages we have competitively, but that's unique, is being able to have around 200 investors, having the breadth and the scale of assets that we have means that we're covering more pockets of the world. We're also investing publicly and privately as a firm. So what that means is when we're trying to figure out problems such as, is this AI thematic going to continue or not, the touch points, the channel checks, and how many different options we have of verifying whether we're on the money or not, I think we get more touch points than most.
Sam, let's talk stocks. 2024 has seen huge growth. It's been the year of growth. What do you think will be a big growth stock in 2025 and why?
So a company for us is actually a company called Sartorius in Germany. They are about a $15 billion market cap, so a little bit smaller than some others. This is a company that's really been doing it tough for the past couple of years. So they are the absolute sweet spot of one of the most durable themes in healthcare. It's biologics and biopharma. So old school medicines, we were fusing chemical compounds to make drugs like penicillin. New innovations now in bioprocessing, culturing live organisms and cells, allows us to be much more targeted in how we actually treat really hard to cure diseases. So Sartorius is one of the only pure plays you can access that's actually selling the tools to test for the R&D, the innovation, and to grow a lot of these drugs that are really going to help with things like cancers and gene therapy, etc. Has been a tough spot because there was an over-ordering by their clients during COVID, a lot of the vaccine development, etc. And we think we're right on the cusp now of those customers coming back to traditional ordering dynamics in 2025.
Sam, we've seen a few industries break out in 2024. What's an industry that you think is set for a breakout in 2025, and is there a stock that captures that trend?
So an industry that we really like is actually industrials, particularly in the US. So the US economy, we all hear about this soft landing, but we've actually had a recession in manufacturing in the US for around 2 years. So the PMIs have actually been negative 24 out of the last 25 months, so below 50. So we think we're on the cusp now, particularly with the Republican administration, of that re-accelerating next year. And a company we really like is actually not very sexy. It's a company called Old Dominion. So Old Dominion Freight, they actually fill up semi-trailers effectively with everyone's orders and ship them around the US. This is a company that's one of the leaders in what they do. They've actually been buying capacity as the industry's been shrinking, so very, very little competition. They've invested more in tech and their service generally is better, so they can charge customers more. And we just think for freight and general activity in the US re-accelerating next year, this is a company that's going to re-accelerate back to a very durable growth rate after a pretty challenged couple of years.
Sam, you would know better than anyone, when markets are flying, it's often the high flyers that get all the attention, but there's some value to be had oftentimes in contrarian plays. What's a contrarian stock for 2025?
So contrarian stock we like for 2025 is a company we think that's just gone through a lost decade. So this is a fantastic growth company trading at deep value price, and it's life insurance. You don't hear many people talking about life insurance as a great sector to be in. Life insurance companies basically make money off of reinvesting the premiums we pay in pretty traditional bonds, and they also have annuity sales. Now what's happening, a company we really like, Corebridge, is actually spun out of AIG in 2022. They're one of the leaders in life insurance and also annuities in the US, and they're able to basically invest these longer term maturing bonds that are rolling off from lower rates. And for every single month or quarter that rates stay higher, you can just imagine their portfolio yield is increasing. But also for the entire US annuity sales that we're seeing in that market, we've actually seen those double in the last 4 years. So if rates stay higher, we think this is a company that used to trade pre-GFC in a normal interest rate environment around 12 times, and it's actually stuck in this 7 to 9 times. So earnings could double basically in the next 5 years, and we think that we're going to see potentially even a 50% uplift in valuation.
Sam, we've heard some of your best ideas. What do you think is a stock that investors should avoid in 2025 and why?
So one of my goals here today was not to talk about AI because it's been all the headlines we've seen. The company I think everyone should avoid is a company we think is going to be disrupted by AI, and that's actually Google. So Google makes a lot of their money, or Alphabet effectively. Google makes their money from Google search. We go and search something online and we're inundated with 50 of these blue links, and you probably click on 10 of them to figure out the answer, and you're advertised at every stage of that journey. Well, AI has actually enabled through large language models the ability for smaller disruptors to come in with AI search engines. What that means is you don't get 50 blue links, you get the answer. Now, there's two things that could happen. They could lose market share to some of these companies. Now, hot tip for you, Perplexity. If you haven't heard of it, go try it.
Yep.
It's a fantastic tool. Either they lose some market share or they're forced to compete by coming up with their own sort of Perplexity or GPT search equivalent. That means that if Google just has to feed you the answer now to avoid disruption from competitors, then they're only going to get you clicking once, not 15 times, and that's really bad for their advertising revenues.
Sam, I know no fund manager would ever do this, but if you did have to hold one stock for 2025, what would it be and why?
One stock is ultra convictions, that's hard. So I think you really need to balance then the risk reward. There's a company that we think is trading at around a trough valuation, but has exposure to some of the best end markets in healthcare. It's a company called Danaher. It's very well known, been around for a long time. But basically, it's a diversified healthcare company that gives investors exposure to a re-acceleration of the biologics and the biopharma industry. So during COVID, many of us have been aware that they've actually had their customers slow down orders. They ordered too much. And we think that Danaher not just gives you exposure to the biologic and biopharma industry re-accelerating from a 2-year drought effectively, but they also have exposure to China through a lot of their testing equipment for these types of drugs that has been really slow as China's recalibrated their economy. So two key parts of acceleration, and they've also got a third business unit, which is diagnostics, which continues to take market share and is durably growing. So it's a bit more durable, it's trading at a low valuation, but you still get that re-acceleration from China and general biologic drugs going back into an upcycle next year.
Sam, last one for today. Again, it's been a big 2024. Markets near all-time highs. How are you feeling as we head into 2025?
I think it's really interesting heading into 2025. I'd say that the landscape has become almost unanimously more optimistic. So particularly with the Republican sweep, it really increases the odds that we've navigated the soft landing perfectly in the US, but also we have the Fed cutting into a government cycle that's going to try and re-accelerate things and reignite parts of the real industrial economy. Now, I'd say that's really unique because we've had a market that's really concentrated in AI and in tech, but this should stand to benefit a broader range of companies and industries. So US banks can really benefit from this. Some industrial companies can really benefit from this. We've already seen small cap companies. So if CapEx reignites, that's really good for them. I would just say into next year that it's even furthered the optimism that a lot of investors now have for the US, whereas the rest of the world probably in a relative sense seems a little less good. So high valuations, high optimism, good opportunities, but overarching all of that, I just think we have to recognise that it's something where there's little room for missteps or errors in the market. So you want to be very cautious about where you put your money.
Sam, thanks so much for taking part in Livewise Outlook series for 2025.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to check out all the Outlook series content on the Livewire website.